Greetings, folks. You join me today for a little bit of motorcycle maintenance and a little bit of customization, if I do say so myself. We're gonna be making this here KLR650 look a lot newer and a lot more personalized, a lot more me. We're doing a number of jobs today. We are installing some pannier boxes. We're repacking the muffler, and I'm doing some maintenance on the wiring, but this particular video is going to be centered on the plastics. I've got very sun-dried, very splotchy plastics from leaving this bike out in the sun, and all this was my fault. The previous owner kept it garaged and or covered, so all the plastics looked great when I bought it. Now they look crap because my rain cover got stolen, and it took me a while to buy another one. So my bike got cooked, and now I am going to attempt to renew the plastics. I don't know if this is going to work, but I figured I'd bring you along to see. So, to start the job, we are going to be taking off our pannier rack. We're going to be taking off our rear rack. We're going to be taking off the side panels, the radiator guard, the front cowl, this rear rack, the rear fender. We're going to be taking off a lot of stuff, and I guess I should mention sort of the method that I'm planning on using in this video. So I've heard that taking a heat gun to old plastics will renew them, but I don't think that is the full story. I think you also need to sand them a little bit, so you need to get them coarse, and then I'm guessing that you use a heat gun to melt all the new sort of coarse plastic to make it look smooth. I'm not totally sure. We're gonna give it a shot, and hopefully it'll look okay. If not, that's okay. But in addition to that, I am also going to be cutting the rear fender a little bit. We're gonna be cutting it right around here, I think, and I've just got this nice idea in my head for a better line for the bike that sort of fits with the side panels. Then we're also going to be doing a slightly less guaranteed good looking modification to this front cowl here. Now I really like the look of the Dakar fairings that Waypoint Adventure Company, something like that. I'll link that in the description as well, but they make a really cool front fairing for the KLR. It looks like a rally bike. It's got this really tall front windscreen, and then it sort of snakes around, and this connects to this piece, so it's sort of hugged in a sort of way. I don't really know how to describe it. It's just cool looking, but that's really expensive. That's like $400. I am going to try to make something very similar to it with a piece of plexiglass, and so we're going to be trying to bend plexiglass today. I don't know how it's going to go. I may do a few different iterations of this to see what looks the best. I want it to look really good. I want it to look like, you bought it that way. I want it to look official. So that is all in this video, I think. And yeah, so we're going to be taking everything off to get the front fairing off, we've got these two Phillips heads, and we've got a 10 mil. This may be a Phillips head for you. I don't know if this is a different bolt, but this is a 10 mil for me. And then it's a matter of disconnecting the headlight and the blinkers. Then we're going to be disconnecting the radiator guards, and these are just mine are like pretty janky and broken. I might try doing some JB weld or something like that on these as well, but there's a Phillips right here, and then I think they like pop out. There may be another connection. Yes, they're connected to the radiator as well, and mine is snapped off, but it's also connected to the coolant reservoir right there, I think, on an unbroken bike. So those are the radiator covers. These side panels have two 8 mil bolts, front and back. I'm going to be taking these pannier covers off. They've got 13 mils, bolting them on, and then to get the rear fender off, you got to take the seat off, which is 2 Phillips screws on either side, and then for a stock bike without this pannier rack, there would be an H6 bolt here, and then these two 8 mil bolts hold the rear rack and the rear fender on, and then I want to say there's like two Phillips head screws holding the rear fender on after that as well, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Okay, I'm going to start taking all this stuff off and then bring you along. Okay, so I've taken most of the plastics off, taken my muffler off, and now, before I take these last two off, we are going to be making our measurements for our cut. Now, I would like it to line up with this side fender right here. I'd like the start of the cut to be right about there in the rear fender. And then I think I wanted to, let's get this lighting right. I think I want it to sort of go up kinda and meet right there at the taillight, but I also want a holder for my license plate. So I'm not gonna cut all of this off. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start here, I'm gonna make some sort of cut up and then stop right here and then make a cut down, around, and then back up to wherever it meets up right here. And then I'll leave this little piece right here so that I can bolt my license plate like right here or something, and then it's just sort of hanging off. I think that is going to look very, very nice. But yeah, it seemed like there were these two rectangles, like there's a rectangle right here, and then there was like a rectangle right here. And I wanted the rear to sort of line up with that rectangle, so it's like, I don't know, kind of cool. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it. I'm gonna mark, these are just some like preliminary marks right here. I'm gonna take that box cutter and make some marks and try to come up with a neat little design. Then I'm gonna be removing the side fender, taking the seat off. There's one Phillips screw under the side fender right here that I still need to take off, and then there will be two Phillips heads right here. And yeah, I've got all the other plastics off, so after that's done, we'll be taking that inside and commencing the cut. Okay, and that is my bike without a seat, plastics, muffler. She looks pretty good. I like that sort of trimmed down look. Yeah, that's sharp. I really like that. I may use this as inspiration for future body panel design, custom body panel design or something like that. Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, now that I'm done admiring my bike, I forget which video this is going to be for. I think it's going to be in my plastics video. Oh yeah, I also started my hoses and wires video, so this will be in both of those videos. Hello again, folks. You joined me inside, and it's a number of days later. This little series of videos is taken a lot of energy to complete. Lots of different stuff going on, lots of different steps to do, but I'm in here doing the plastics right now. I've already done most of them, and they came out very well. I will show you those in a little bit, but I wanted to show you my little technique that I used with these. So to renew the plastics, I'm using a heat gun. There are a number of different techniques that you can use. You can sand and then buff and polish with a little buffing bit that you throw on the end of a drill. That will give you a shinier plastic at the end of it. It won't be new looking, but it'll be shiny. You can use a heat gun, which is what I'm doing. That will leave you a duller finish, but it will take out the scratches, and I'll demonstrate that for you shortly. But it will be a duller finish. So I'm planning on painting my plastics pretty soon, and I may buy some new ones. This one's pretty beat up, but yeah, I'm painting my plastics soon, so I'm gonna be putting primer over all of them and paint and all that, so I don't really need like a shiny finish. So I just wanted to use my heat gun, and it's really quick, you know. Yeah, I may put some reference videos in the description, some different techniques and stuff that you guys can use depending on what exactly you want to do. I may also take off this sticker. I may try to use my heat gun to peel off this sticker just because it's in such bad shape, and because I am going to be painting this soon. So I may try to do this sticker first, and then I will come back and show you guys how to make all this section look new, get rid of all these scratches and stuff. It'd be great. All right, let's do it. That came off very nicely. Didn't even need a heat gun. I just used a knife for the harder bits and my fingers for most of it. And it's a great sticker to take off, very satisfying. But as you can see, we have a much shinier new plastic finish, and then we've got the sun damaged parts. And so because I said that I'm not going to be able to make this shiny, I'll probably go over the heat gun with the shiny bit as well, just to even it out, make it a little bit duller, and then I'll bring the color out of these sun damaged and scratched bits and stuff. And if this goes anything like the other pieces of plastic that I did yesterday, then we may be able to come out of this with an almost new looking piece of plastic. I should be able to get all these or most of these scratches out. It should look very good by the end of it. So let's give it a shot and see what happens. Okay, now I've put down a little cutting board just to protect my table from the heat. And I'm just gonna show you my technique. So I'm by no means an expert on this, nor am I a motorcycle mechanic. Please don't follow my advice for mechanic work. always check different videos and stuff, make sure that what I'm saying and what other people are saying is correct. But this is the technique that I used on the other pieces of plastic. So I'm guessing that you don't want to heat plastic up very quickly while you're doing this. So I like to use the lower setting. And then I just sort of slowly go over the plastic until it starts to become a little shiny, and to make sure that I have a good idea of how hot the plastic is, I like to sort of get it into the light so that I can see exactly when it does start to become shiny. So I'll do it right here just to demonstrate to you guys. And then I'll get closer in. And right there, it's starting to become shiny. So I start to move it around a little bit. And as you'll see when you do this, a little piece of hot plastic will very easily spread to the plastic around it. So you get a little piece hot and shiny, and then you just sort of slowly inch around the plastic until you've got it fully covered. And one last thing that I wanted to say, what was it? Oh yeah, I like to, okay, so I've seen people do this technique but get very streaky plastic when they're done with it. So you can see like the order that they went in it. You get like stripes on it. It looks very ugly. So what I think that is caused by is the plastic cooling down ununiformly. So when you're going over this, pick like a big section, like I'll probably pick this little piece right here, and I'll go through, and as bits are getting shiny and then I'm moving on, I will return to the first bit briefly just to make it slightly shinier again, and then I'll move on even further and then make everything shiny, move on, and by the end of it, you should be able to go through the whole thing, make it shiny very quickly, and then just let it all cool down all at once. And so that will give you a more uniform look. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by that when I get my plastics back outside and am able to show you them in the sun. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go all over this whole last piece, and then yeah, we'll be going outside and getting this all back on the bike. All right. And I'll show you this piece after I'm done with it, see if we actually can get it looking nice and uniform. Let's do it. And look at how that came out. That came out awesome. See, the way to take out those scratches is I mean, it's pretty clear from what it looks like right here, but you melt the plastic enough. You don't want to heat it up too much because then it'll burn and blister and all that. But if you heat it up enough, the plastic will get slightly liquidy and will just fill in most of the scratches. And obviously this bike was dropped pretty badly on this side. That was not me. I bought this and it was like that, but I was definitely able to even out the color. It looks better without that sticker. It looks more even. And yeah, that's a little patchy right there. I might go over that once more. But yeah, I think I was correct. I was just doing a little experimentation, and it does look like the way to get a good even color without much streaking is to heat up the entire surface and then let it all cool at the same time at the very end. How's this side look? That's pretty good. It's pretty good. yeah, I'm gonna touch up a couple more spots and then bring everything outside and get it all hooked up. Let's do it. Okay, I've been stalling on this. It's been a few days since I took everything off the bike, because this is daunting, but I'm gonna try to make this the car fairing out of this piece of plexiglass. And I've got my things lined up. I've looked at their design a good amount, and it looks like there are two main folds in this top piece. There are two main folds, and it matches the lines of the stock fairing up until this line right here, sort of going across. So if I can make those two bends so that it bends around the headlight, and then if I can make the plexiglass line up with this line, and then maybe even terminate right here so that I can get like a nice swooshing cut up, that should be exactly what I am looking for. But we have to deal with bending plexiglass, which I have never done before. And we have to make a sharp bend, and we potentially have to make a very not sharp bend right here, a very wide bend. So I've got a long narrow piece of brass, and I've got a wide flat sheet of aluminum. And what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to heat the brass needle thing and set it right here on the plexiglass, lined up with my other mark up there. And I am going to heat up the brass with that heat gun, I think, from one end, and then I will wait until the whole thing is hot and has heated up the plexiglass, and then I will bend it up. I will bend it maybe around here. Maybe I'll like lay it flat on the headlight and then like bend it around the fairing. And then I will take for this very long bend, I will take that piece of aluminum sheet, lay it flat, heat it up with the heat gun, and then very gradually bend it around until I get something matching this. And then I will decide how I want to cut this. And I'll probably end up cutting it with an angle grinder. I would use a box cutter and just score it a bunch and then sort of snap it, but I don't know what I want my final shape to look like, so I'm gonna bend it first and then I will cut it to size using my angle grinder, I think. Okay. And then I think what the final design is gonna look like is I'll cut off this top part of my front fairing, and I might like leave the Kawasaki or something like that. And I'll probably bolt it. I'll put 2 bolts here, 2 bolts on the other side, and then I may get like mounters, like little mounting hinges, and mount them right here maybe, and like drill holes through the top of this. I don't really know how I'm gonna secure it yet, but we'll get there when we get there. Let's get those little pieces of metal and start experimenting. Worst comes to worst, I need to buy another sheet of plexiglass, and that is not too big a deal. Let's do it. I also just wanted to say, make sure that you've got some good like heat protecting gloves for this. Make sure that you've got some pliers. You may even want like a clamp or two to hold the brass rod down if you're doing this. And just make sure that you've got an ability to deal with a very hot rod and or metal plate. Okay, let's do it. And here we are. Here is a bent piece of plexiglass. Now this is going to be an experimental piece, because I did, let's see if I can focus on that. I did burn it a little too much, and what you're seeing there is a sort of blistering on one side, and then mine also did crack here and up here. I think that is an ununiversal heating that caused that, or maybe not heating enough. It was really challenging because I had to use 2 vices and I only have 1 vice. So I used like this adjustable wrench as another vice, and it didn't work well. So I think before I do the final piece of this, I will buy another vice. And I also used a heat gun on that piece of copper or brass tube, pipe, whatever it's called. And the bends are a little bit wider than I would have liked. So they're good bends. I do like them, but I would like them a tiny little bit more narrow. And I think the heat gun, it did work well with the brass in that it like concentrated in the brass, but it also the heat went outside to the plastic a little bit more than I would have liked it to. So next time I do this, I think I'm gonna try to find a way to heat up a piece of brass or copper with like electricity or something like that, so that it can just be concentrated all in one little line. And then I'll probably also get like a piece of like smoke plexiglass, like darker, and I may even look into like DOT approved plexiglass, because my windscreen is DOT approved, and this looks pretty brittle. I wouldn't really want to be riding on a highway if like a rock came and hit this. But yeah, so that's that. I'm not gonna stop this. I'm gonna make some cuts along the side here, and I'll try to bend the sides to conform to the fairing. But yeah, so that was that. Came out pretty decently. It's a good proof of concept. Let's keep going. Hello again. You joined me about a week and a half later, maybe a week later. I've been doing small work on each of these individual jobs inside my room, but it's been a while since I've been outside. I don't know exactly where I'm at with each of these jobs. And I'm pretty disorganized in general right now. I think I bit off a little bit more than I could chew with all 5 of these jobs going. I've got the brakes, I've still got to install the caliper. I just got the caliper in the mail, a new caliper. I think I shot a video rebuilding it, so you'll already know about that. I think I'm gonna put this clip in each of the 5 videos just to catch y'all up, but I got all my plastics done. Those are still inside. I'm gonna bring those out at the end of the day today if I get everything done. I've got a lot of stuff to do today, a lot of different things, and I've got so many individual clips on my phone from all 5 of these jobs. It's gonna be a nightmare editing this. It's gonna be a nightmare figuring out what exactly I need where, making sure that I didn't forget anything. My parts tray is a nightmare. I don't remember where all the bolts go. It's rough. It's about 1:30, I think, maybe 2 o'clock. I think we're gonna be out here until the sun sets, and maybe later than that. I hope not, but I think I'm gonna get started with my exhaust, since that will just be a simple little bolt on. Let's get it done. All right, onward. So we have got all of our plastics renewed for the most part and outside, ready to be put on. I decided to wait to do that decar fairing for my cowl because I would like to order some like impact resistant plexiglass, and there are a few different kinds of it. I have to do a little bit more research for that. And then I also wanted to buy like a Dremel because that would make cutting the plastic way easier. So I'm just gonna leave it as is for now, and I will make a separate video about the Dakar fairing. I also am running into an issue that I discovered when I first installed these blinkers, where the rubber is just, I don't know, these don't screw into this cowl very well, so I think I may use some gasket maker silicone on this one just to sort of make it stick in place, and I'll probably do the same thing on that one. Here is how my rear fender turned out, and I am in love with that. Look at the shape of that. So this little cut right here going up, that should line up with where these side fenders sort of like extend out to. Like the side fender sort of extends out to this point right here, and then the cut sort of goes up to this cool brake light. So I'm really excited to see how that looks. And then I liked how the I kind of want to stick the license plate right here, and use the metal adapter connector thing on it, like drill a couple holes, get the metal thing in there, metal license plate holder, and then put the license plate on that. But it would not be illuminated in the dark. So until I'm able to get like a little light sort of connecting right here, shining on my license plate, I'm gonna keep the license plate where it was before, just zip tied right there. So I've still got these holes right here. Then we'll just hold the license plate, go like right there. I think it'll look excellent. I'm very excited. And then I also, I renewed this one, and I sanded out and put the heat gun on the edges here so they all look nice and smooth, nice and uniform color. I did see that I lost one of the nuts on this brake light, so I think I'm gonna throw some Loctite on this one and then go to a hardware store and get another nut for that one, throw some Loctite on it, and that should be just perfect. Yeah. Here is, I think this is the one that I did on video. It seems to have, the color seems to have come out of it a little bit since then. I did bring my heat gun outside, so I may touch this up a little bit, see if I can get it uniform again, like this one. This one's a lot better. So I'll try that. My side panels came out decent. This one was much worse, especially this bit right here. That's ugly, and it's still pretty stripy. I did the entire panel for this one, and it was just so big, it was tough to not get stripes. And this might have been my first panel, so I didn't really have a good technique. I don't think I'm gonna redo this. I am painting this bike soon, so that'll just that'll be painted over. And this one I barely touched. This one was not in the path of the sunlight when it was parked. It was sort of like angled downward, so it didn't get too much damage. There were a couple lighter bits that I just touched up right there. You can see the touch-ups, but they are not as noticeable as the lighter spots were before. So yeah, I got my plastics done. Yeah, I'm gonna touch that one up, and then I'm gonna put everything back on. And I think I'm gonna wait to put this cowl on because I've got some wire coming from Home Depot on a DoorDash order right now. And last night I was trying to work on tidying up some of my wires up here and re-grounding them, since the grounding point like snapped off when I turned the handlebars one time. So I'm gonna try to get some of my aftermarket electronics all grounded to the same wire and get them sort of grounded down here in a more secure spot. So yeah, I'm gonna wait to put on the cowl until I do that, or maybe I'll just dangle it and test the blankers or something. We'll figure it out. I got the plastics kind of on, some of them. Just wanted to see what this rear looked like. And I do really, really like that. Okay, but I think the next step for me is going to be moving on to my pannier rack and setting up my panniers. That seems like the easiest next step, so I'm going to move over to that video right now, and I'll come back to this plastics video a little later once I've gotten all my wiring figured out and once I've got my pannier boxes and pannier rack set back up. So that'll be what we're doing. And that is my bike all back together. And I think this will be the outro for both my plastics video and my brake video. Able to move my handlebars both directions. That slams into the windshield a little bit, unfortunately. But as I said in my plastics video, I'm pretty soon gonna be trying to fabricate my own Dakar fairing, so that won't be an issue anymore. But yeah, look at these new plastics. Look at that line coming up. That's what I was picturing. It's the line from the side fenders. It goes right there and then goes right up to that brake light. It didn't come out as cool as I thought it was going to, but I still prefer it way much. Still prefer it a bunch over the stock fender. Yeah, that's the bike. New plastics, renewed plastics. I prefer it without this sticker here. Pretty soon I'm gonna be painting my bike chrome. I feel like that'd look both cool and funny. I'd also like to paint most of the internals black, that same color as the forks right there. Love how those came out. Is there anything else though? Anything else? And I think that's about it. I took the panniers off just for the shoot of those plastics. Gonna put those back on. Gonna put my top box back on pretty soon, and I'm gonna start doing some road tripping, I think. That would be amazing. I'd love to go to Savannah, Georgia. I'd love to go to North Carolina. Love to do the Tail of the Dragon in Tennessee. And I'm planning on bringing you guys along for each of those. I'm planning on doing some travel videos. Should be amazing. Whew. Okay, so this is after I shot my outro video. It's a little darker, but I wanted to show you guys something and tell you a little bit more information. Just wanted to show you the walk up to my bike. This thing is starting to look genuinely different than when I got it. Starting to look like my own thing. I love it. Love that huge disc. And it looks really good from the back. Don't mind my license plate there. But I love that open look. Look at that, it's just blank. And it's all sort of low profile. Oh, I love it. But with that, about 2 weeks worth of work, not every day, a number of those days were either waiting for parts or just being overwhelmed. But we got it done. We got new brakes, we got new plastics, new wires, new hoses, panniers. It's amazing. It's amazing. So thank you for watching if you watched, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, people.